Throughout all creation, you will never find anything or anyone that is more salty than Satan. Yep, the devil himself is the saltiest being in all creation. But why is that? And why does Satan hate us and hate God so much? Well, let's find out. To get to the bottom of why Satan is so salty about us, we first gotta go back to the original sin. And I'm not talking about the sin that Adam and Eve committed in the garden. I'm talking about a sin that came earlier in that. A sin that happened in the gates of heaven itself. But back in the very, very early days of creation, the devil was not the devil. In fact, he was one of the highest archangels in heaven, known as Lucifer. And he's described as absolutely beautiful. I mean, in Ezekiel 28, he's described as being adorned with gold and jewels. And in the King James Version, he's also described as being adorned with pipes and instruments to play beautiful music. It also went on to describe Lucifer as the wisest of all the angels and was beloved even among the Most High. So in short, he had it pretty good. Then somehow wickedness came into him, and it became the first sin, pride. He saw himself with all this beauty and all this wisdom and thought, yeah, I'm that guy. And from that pride came the next sin in line, envy. Lucifer saw himself with all this beauty and wisdom and might. And then he saw God and he became envious of God's position and power as ruler of all creation. And so he started going around and whispering to the angels saying, hey yo, check me out, I'm gonna be like the Most High. And through all those rumors, Lucifer gained the loyalty of a third of all of heaven. And then, boop, God submit him where he stood. Heck, Jesus himself in the book of Luke describes Satan as falling like lightning to the earth. And needless to say, his reign up in heaven was done for. And so while he was there wallowing in the fact that he just got kicked out of heaven and is no longer part of the Most High, he then learned something. Found out that God took some dust and formed it into a human and made him into God's image. And he said to him, hey human, instead of simply ruling this whole world on my own, I want to rule alongside you as well. So, here's all these fruits and the tree of life so you may live forever, but don't eat of the tree of knowledge, because if you eat of that, you will surely die. And so, a plan formed in Satan's mind, because he understood that there was no way he could possibly get back into heaven through force. But what he could do is take God's favorite creation and corrupt it. And so, he deceived Adam and Eve. And he said to them, see this tree of knowledge over here? If you eat the fruit, you can rule on your own terms. You don't have to listen to God. You can listen to your own wisdom, and you may be like him. And so they ate of the tree, and they became knowledge of good and evil. But unfortunately for them, that was the first sin, disobedience to God. So God was forced to cast Adam and Eve out of the garden and out into the world. Ever since then, Satan's been lurking in the shadows, waiting for just the right child of God for him to come up and snatch for himself. And for a while, he basically had the world to himself. And he had nation against nation, people against people, false gods popping up everywhere with the most obscene practices. In his eyes, he was corrupting everything just as he wanted. That was until God himself stepped down from his throne and was born in human flesh, attaining both human and divine nature in one. And needless to say, Lucifer was quaking in his boots because he realized, oh shoot, the big man himself is here. I better stop him. Then one day, Jesus went out into the wilderness and fasted for 40 days. And when Lucifer saw that, a plan emerged in his mind. He was thinking to himself, he's in the desert and he is weak. Maybe if I can tempt the Most High, Of course it wasn't gonna work, but he went for it anyway. And so he got himself humiliated not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. Even after he tried and get Jesus to turn rocks into bread, trying to get him to throw himself off the temple, and offered up every kingdom in the whole world, Jesus was completely unfazed. And who knows how much that made Satan angry. A couple of years later, the most surprising thing happened. Instead of Jesus coming along with sword in hand to slay Satan once and for all, instead Jesus offered himself as a sacrifice so that the sins of all the earth can be repaid. And Satan took the bait. At last, Satan finally believed he had God himself in his hands. Then over Saturday and Sunday, he got his butt walloped down in hell. And then Jesus, being the merciful one he is, decided, man, I just feel bad for you, man. I'm gonna go up and see my homies. Peace out, man. And then he rises up from the dead. Jesus offers all humankind, from the highest to the lowest, a free way to get to heaven. And that is the true reason why Satan hates us so much. Because you see, sure, Satan rules this world and has everything in it in his hands, but he can't go back to heaven. He can never achieve the place he once had. Meanwhile, you have us human beings, who can basically say, screw you, God, I can live how I want to live. But if they so choose, they can repent of their sin, and they can go back to God. The fact that this mere human, and who was formed from the dust, an obscene God, can simply come back to a Father with open arms, infuriates him unlike anything else. And just let y'all know, this is not meant to make you feel bad about Satan. Like, this is meant to clown on it. Like, imagine having all the world and yet you're getting pissed off at a one little guy repenting of his sin and being with Jesus. Come on, man, that's embarrassing. So yeah, if you want to piss off the saltiest being to ever exist, repent of your sin, make disciples of all nations, and be one with Jesus. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next one.